recording. Button. Double tap to activate.
Friday, Friday, Friday is my favorite. Friday is my favorite. Friday is my favorite day. It's Finish It Friday. I'm stitching it my way. Just wanna be sitting with needles and knitting. Hello, hello, friends. It is Friday in the crafting community. We like to call it Finish It Friday, when we get to show off our projects that we've been working on all week and finishing. Now, Finish It Friday, I mean, that has a cool sound to it. What is it really, though? It's kind of like show and tell when you are in first grade, right? I mean, I'm going to show you my project, and because, if you don't know, I'm visually impaired, one of the 16 million legally blind people you share the planet with. So that means I'm also going to be using my words and telling you about my project. So, and I want to encourage that all over the internet and social media. I want people to use their words. Tell me what color it is. Tell me what stitch it is. Describe it to me. So, I kind of like that about Finish It Friday. Just make sure you use your words. Treat it like show and tell. You know, that used to be kind of fun in first grade, right? Somebody comes and they're like, this is what we did this summer. We went to the beach and we got seashells and collected driftwood, and they're all showing their projects, right? Or they come back and they show off their Christmas gifts that they got, right, from their families. So, you know, I mean, some people brought cool stuff in, like they got a guitar for Christmas. We were on the poor side, so when I was in grade school, what did we want for Christmas? Electric blankets. For real. Our house was that cold. That's what we wanted. But now I knit and I crochet. So now I just crochet myself blankets. If you're visually impaired, I'm holding up this beautiful 6-pointed star crochet blanket from Sarasat Crochet, crocheted in the Premier Chunky Parfait. It's a really great pattern for beginners. Sarasat Crochet Posh Pooch design, super simple. You can make one yourself, so you don't have to ask for blankets for Christmas. But I wanted to come on this week and share with you my Finish It Friday project. If you watched my Whip Wednesday video from this week, I was talking about, yes, I know how to spell Whip Wednesday, W-I-P, for work in progress, but I use dictation, which sometimes gets it as W-H-I-P. But I was working in that video on these stockings. I'm going to try to hold them up nice and close. I hope that doesn't mess up the camera. I don't know. But I was working on a pair of stockings. If you don't know, I'm visually impaired, and I do have a really hard time accessing print patterns, so I tend to design, at least with knitting, I design in my head. I made a whole video on that too, called How My Deteriorating Eyesight Freed Me to Design. So I design a lot of my own knitwear, and I kind of just design on the fly, which is good and bad. Meaning sometimes I just do things and then I'm not so happy with it. Well, these turned out okay, I have to say. They are white if you're visually impaired. If you knit or crochet and you just want to, like, tell me the yarn already, right? That's what's in my mind. When somebody's talking about their project, I'm like, tell me the yarn already. What are you working with? So, I can't direct you to a pattern right now because these were designed in my own head. I don't know at some point if I will provide printed patterns. I don't know, but these are vine lace stockings. They are over the knee. They are vine lace on the front from the toe. They are knit from the toe up. On the back, I do stockinette on the foot, and then do vine lace all the way to the top. Overall, I have to say, when I was making the video, I said I did really well, except I got the bind off too tight, and I still did. On the first one, the body is knit on a 2.75 knitting needle, or a size 2. For the ribbing, I went down to 1.5 or 2.5. And so on the first one, I thought, I'll just increase it back to the 2. For the bind off, well, that ended up making them super, super tight to get on. I can get them on, but the bind off is super tight. But I can honestly say, like I say in many of my videos, that my projects, oop, I got that on backwards. Look at that. I have the foot on the top. So my projects are a lot like me, meaning they're not perfect. I'm a flawed human being. So guess what? My projects tend to almost always have some kind of little mistake in them. So with the very first sock that I did, I can definitely say it barely fits over my knee. As long as I don't gain any more weight in my legs, I can wear these stockings. And they are tight enough that even over the knee, I do walk around in my house in them, and they defy gravity. They stay up all by themselves. Pretty cool. So on the second one, unfortunately, sometimes I get super tired and I think, oh, I can do another row, right? I shouldn't have, because I'll point it out to you. Yep, there's one mistake. So on the second stocking, I have a mistake in the leg right after the calf increase. It's kind of bothering me. And then I was also really tired, and I dropped like 3 stitches on one row. I knew how tired I was. I'm like, put it down, put your knitting down. You know you're nodding off while you're working. But I kept on stitching. So that was my bad when I knew better. Does any of you do that? Do you do that? Do you keep stitching while you got the nods? Right, you're sitting there, your head's dropping, and you keep stitching. Yeah, that was on me. I dropped 3 stitches in one row. And I'm visually impaired. This is a number 2 sport weight yarn on a 2.75 millimeter needle. I knit by feel. I struggled to get those stitches. And in the end, I still ended up dropping a stitch. Had to go back, sew it. It's a little bit messy on the top of the cuff there because of that. But I did learn a lesson about the bind off. I jumped all the way to a size 4 needle. I did. Went all the way up to a size 4. And as you can tell, if you're wondering, if you are somebody who tends to bind off tight like myself, definitely jump that needle up several sizes. And I know that. I do know that. But I just didn't. So the second one, the first one is perfect, except for the bind off. It's too tight. The second one, well, it's got one mistake at the calf increase. And then it's got like 3 mistakes in one row where I dropped stitches. But there they are on my feet. Even with the looser bind off on the size 4 needle, I can say they still stay up. I had them both on today, walked around my house, they stayed up, no garter belt, no nothing, wasn't yanking them up. So we'll see how long that holds up. I do sew elastic into mine. If you did not see that video, I make a casing with the Knit 2 Purl 2, and then I do whatever length I want that casing. So I was using 1 inch. I went ahead and go with 1 inch elastic, even on stockings. So I make the casing, I hold the elastic up to it, I make sure it fits with a little wiggle room on each side for sewing, and then I do what's called a turning row, because I'm mostly blind and I have a condition called nystagmus, and I'm cross-eyed, I have strabismus, I can't see straight, and I can't sew straight. So I always do what's called a turning row, where I do the opposite. If I'm doing knit 2, purl 2, then I do a purl 2, knit 2. And that creates a tactile ridge. And then I continue and do enough rounds to cover my 1 inch elastic. So they do stay up for sure. So I have a pair of stockings, but I can't lie, I'm struggling with my own perfectionism. Do any of you struggle with that? I have struggled off and on in my life with perfectionism, right? I want things to be perfect. So part of me wants to immediately do another pair of these stockings and try to get them perfect. I'm like, well, now I know to jump it up to a size 4 for the bind off, right? And I'm like, I already knew better to not knit when I got the knobs, and I don't know what happened here, but it's definitely obvious. So I'm struggling with perfectionism right now. Part of me is like, do them again. And I still have enough yarn. I do. This is the Knit Pick Shine. A couple weeks ago, if you're watching my other Whip Wednesday video, I was even making out of the same yarn the fingerless gloves that match. So I have those. I have a match set. They're all done in vine lace. They're all done in the Knit Pick Shine Sport. Amazing yarn. So part of me wants to immediately get back into the yarn and try to make a pair of perfect stockings. I want to perfect these. So that's my big dilemma right now. What do you people do? What do you friends do? Are you a knitter? Are you a crocheter? Even if you don't craft, do you struggle with perfectionism? I do. Even now, part of me, a good thing about being a visually impaired knitter and crocheter, well, one thing I'll say about crochet is much more forgiving. When you make a mistake in crochet, you pull the hook out and you frog back, and yes, sometimes you do have to, like with a blanket, like the 6-pointed star, sometimes it's a lot of frogging. When you find your mistake, you have to go all the way around, and these round blankets get big. But you just pull out your hook and rip, okay? And then you get back to your mistake, and then you just stick your hook back in and go. And just rip. Well, when I knit, I know that there are some people who just pull out their knitting needles and rip. I can't do that because I can't see my stitches. So I have to unknit every single stitch, and with yarns this fine, a number 2 sport weight yarn, I can't feel those stitches. They are so fine. Plus with the lace, it's really hard for me to undo. What's like the slip one, knit one, pass slip stitch over, right? And then knit 2 together. With unknitting that by feel on a sport weight yarn is super hard for me to do. So I knew, even though I did catch this one flaw at the calf increase, I left it because by the time I caught it, I was several rows up, and I knew that for me, I could have tried to unknit it, but in the end, I would have had to just rip out the whole thing. I know some people do. They're able to see all their stitches. They rip out the needles. They just rip it back like you would crochet, and then they're able to see and pick up all those stitches. I have yet to master that. Can't do it. I literally unknit every stitch. So anyways, one thing as a visually impaired knitter who can't figure out how to do that, how to unknit a project without doing it painstakingly stitch by stitch, is that it's helped me to accept my flaws in my projects. And that helps me to be a little bit less of a perfectionist, right? To be a little bit more of accepting of my own flaws, to see myself as a flawed person, which I know that, but still it can sometimes be hard to see ourselves as an imperfect, flawed person. And not be super hard on ourselves, to just say, you know what, I'm going to leave that mistake and learn from it and know, right? So I'm not going to unknit and rip out this pair of stockings, but I'll know the mistakes are there. I'll probably point them out to everybody when I'm like, oh, do you see the mistake? Do you see the mistake? Do you see the mistake? Right? That's hard for me not to do. So I'd love to hear from other crafters. Do you knit or do you crochet? Do you struggle with perfectionism? Do you have to go out and rip out your mistakes? Do you just let them go? Do you scrap the whole project and start over? Oh my gosh. Because that's my struggle tonight. I've already said I'm not going to rip out these stockings. The elastic's already sewn in. But I can't lie. I have this compulsive urge inside of me to get out another skein of the Knit Pick Shine in white and redo these stockings and try to get them perfect. Know that I got the bind off needle size right? I got the yarn right here, and part of me really wants to do them again. Not wants to, like, you know, oh, I really want to do them again, but wants to, like, because, oh my gosh, they're not perfect, and I really think I can do them perfectly. Ugh. Or should I just accept them as flawed? That's a challenge for me. So part of me wants to move on. I've got so many other designs in my head. Like the blue cardi that I designed with the hood, with the cables, with the pockets. I designed and knit this myself. And this is a chunky weight yarn. Part of me wants to try and downsize this for a baby, maybe like baby size on a DK weight yarn or something. So part of me is playing with that. If you don't know, I've been knitting for over 15 years, but I've been crocheting for less than a year. And so I can design projects with knitting fairly well, like the fingerless gloves, like the stockings, like the cardi. But I really struggle with design in crochet. I've only really designed a few projects with crochet, like the gold crown. This is a gold crown, one of my first crochet designs. Love it, right? Because sometimes I gotta wear a crown. Mr. Bear wears the crown, even though it's too big for his head. He wears it for me. So it's really a necklace on him. And yes, I did knit Mr. Bear. No, I did not design Mr. Bear. He's a free pattern on the Knit Picks website. So I designed the crown, and I've designed this pink and purple shell and trellis stitch scarf, and I designed a hat to match, a little beanie, purple and black, a little bit of pinks to match it. So part of me really wants to redo these stockings. Part of me wants to make the baby cardi. Part of me wants to, design all the other, work on the other designs in my head. And part of me is like, nope, you've got to focus and do a crochet project so that you can understand crochet better. I know that I won't progress as a crochet designer in the way that I progressed as a knitwear designer until I understand crochet better. So part of me, as much as I want to get on a knit project, is telling myself, nope, stop, work a crochet project so that you understand crochet better. That's always my dilemma. I'm sure some of the other crafters also have that dilemma, right? What to do next? So many projects, so little time, not enough hands. I was born with eyes that aren't properly connected to my brain. They're not wired right, And so that's why I'm colorblind and mostly blind and blind by the daylight. That's why my eyes wobble around and can't see straight. So I was born that way. But I was only born with two hands, too. I mean, I was born pretty different, but still with two hands. And part of me kind of wishes I was born, as I said in the video, as an octopus, right? I want 8 hands so I can knit and crochet at the same time. That's my big dilemma right now. I'm sure so many of you struggle with that. So many projects, so little time, so few hands, only 2. It's a real problem when you craft. So that's my struggle right now. What to do next? As much as I want to knit, I also miss crochet. When I'm knitting, I miss crochet. When I'm crochet, I miss knitting. That's like my big problem in the world. Okay, well, anyways, happy Friday. Happy weekend, friends. Say hello in the comments. Let me know, what are you working on? What are you doing for the weekend? What are your plans? Is it just like laundry and house cleaning and prepping your meals for next week? Are you going someplace? Are you doing yard work? Where I live, it's like the beginning of spring. So we already have, not in my area, but a few hundred miles away, we have folks doing yard work already. So a little cold here for that yet, but let me know what your weekend plans are, what you're working on. Say hello, where you're from. Do you knit? Do you crochet? Do you design yourself? Say hi, what you're working on. Let me know your thoughts. Do you struggle with perfectionism with your projects? I do. Would you just leave these? Would you make another pair and obsess about getting them perfect? I'm obsessing about getting them perfect. I can't lie. In my head, I'm like, just make another pair. Make another pair. You'll get it right next time. So let me know if that's your struggle, because that's my struggle. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, spending a little bit of your time with me. Your time is valuable. There's so many things you could be doing with your time right now. So I thank you for spending a little bit of it with me and inviting me into your home. That's what you do when you're watching people on YouTube. You're inviting them into your home, into your space, and they're in my space, right? You're here in my home with me. So that's kind of a cool thing. Like, we don't know each other, but we're sharing each other's lives and times and space and passions, which one of mine, is yarn and knitting and crochet. So thank you for choosing to spend a little of your time with me. And remember, creativity is for everybody of all ages, whether you can see or not, whether you see or you see like me, not too much, you don't see it all. It's for everybody. And no matter what, whether you're knitting or crocheting or sewing or quilting or sculpting or beading or writing or whatever it is, today is a great day to craft and create. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye, and have a great weekend.
Pause button. Stop recording button.
If you don't know yet, I am blinded by light, which is why I film mostly in the dark, but I also know that most people who are visually impaired are the opposite of me and see better with some light. So I wanted to make sure that I was in a room with some light, with a nice high contrast background, where I can zoom in on these stockings a little bit so people can see the vine lace. They do go over my knees. They've got the waistband casing and the knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, and there's the vine lace on both of them. You can see it goes all the way down to my toes. And of course, here's the mistakes, right, that I'm obsessing over. I can feel those mistakes in there. There they are. I just have to point them out. Okay.
Stop recording button. Stop recording button.
This is a close-up of the crochet 6-pointed star blanket that I was talking about in the video. The color is called Dragon Fruit. My understanding is that it's pink. It has a really dark pink, and it has a light pink, and it has like a light pink with the speckles with the seeds in it. So if you're visually impaired, hopefully you can see that 6-pointed pink blanket.
Pause button. Pause.
This is a close-up of that purple and black shell and trellis crochet beanie that I designed, crocheted in Knit Picks We Crochet Chroma worsted. And the color's called Dragon Lily. I know, the other one was called Dragon Fruit in the crochet blanket. This is called Dragon Lily. This is a discontinued colorway. Unfortunately, what were they thinking? This is beautiful. I'm colorblind, and I can tell you, this is incredible. This is beautiful. I'm so sad that this colorway will discontinue. This is an ombre, so it goes from a variety of shades, from dark black to dark purple to lighter shades of purple to a pinkish red. That's what my sister told me anyway. We're taking her word for it. So this is a close-up of that scarf. If you're visually impaired and you need to see it in the light, or if you just crochet and you want to see it up close. And
Pause button. Pause.
here is a close-up of my crochet gold crown. And if you're blind or visually impaired, this video opens with a picture that says, "Welcome to my channel," spelled out in blue and red yarn. And it closes with a picture that says, "Thank you for watching," also spelled out in blue and red yarn. I do what I can to provide description on this channel for other people who are like myself, who are visually impaired, because I love to know what colors people are working with. Thanks so much.